Okay, hi everyone. Here is a video where I want you to help out a fellow photographer with your comments down below. I'm going to have a little rant about it as well. It was in an email which I got, and I'll just show you over here. And it says, "Hi Dom, I just recently purchased a Nikon D300S, but I have a couple of questions for you. The first question is, what are some of the must-have lenses that you would recommend a photographer for fashion photography, wedding photography, portraits and night events?" Okay, that's quite a big question there. The second question he goes is, what are some good portable lighting kits that you'd recommend? And finally, what are some good ring flashes that you'd recommend? Hope that's not a lot for blah blah blah. Yeah, that's a huge question you've actually asked me there. Okay, but let's just go into what I have to say. What would you recommend a photographer for fashion, wedding, portraits and night events? Well, pretty much every lens possible. Every lens that is really expensive. Fashion photography, that's a very difficult question to answer there. As in one of my previous videos, I wrote down, just saying fashion photography is like asking somebody, what sport do you do? And they just say, I do sports, or I do winter sports. And then you don't know, is it snowboarding, skiing? And if it is snowboarding, is it downhill? Is it racing? Is it big air? There's all these little options. So with fashion photography there, are you doing maybe head shots, head shoulder shots? Are you doing it in a studio? Are you doing it on location? Are you doing catwalk stuff? Are you doing kind of, on street fashion or shots? Is that what you're kind of shooting? So that really doesn't tell me anything. Fashion photography I can't answer that. Second one, weddings. Okay, what lenses would you recommend for weddings? All the really expensive. First of all, the Trinity, I'm not going to say Hebrew Trinity, but the Nikon trilogy of the 14 to 24, the 24 to 17, the 70 to 200. That's the first ones that you've got to have. And then there's some specialities like a macro, maybe a fisheye, maybe then something else. Maybe a 50 1.4 or 1.2 and an 85 1.4 if you can. These are all expensive lenses, but those are the must-have lenses. If you've got the money, then you must have them. But I have heard of some interesting stories. I know of one photographer who does a wedding with one lens, and his shots are amazing. He does one lens, but he has two cameras. And the lens that he's got is the Nikon 24 to 70mm f2.8. So one of the trilogy, or Trinity. And he's got the Nikon D300S, just like what this guy's got, and he's got the D3S. So whenever he's wanting to do the wide angle shots, he just takes off the 24 to 70 and sticks it on his D3S. Whenever he's wanting to do more of the telephoto shots, he just zooms it to 70mm and sticks it on his D300S, because that's got a 1.5 crop function, so it's getting that a little bit further. So it's almost effectively a 70, 80, 90, 100. It's almost like a 100mm lens, 100mm f2.8. Effective. And whenever he's in really dark locations where he's wanting kind of wider and darker, he put it back on the D3S because its ISO ability is just phenomenal on that one. So he can do a whole wedding with one lens but two bodies, and those two bodies equate to around about 4.5 grand worth of camera, and then another grand's worth of a single lens. So you're going around about almost £6,000 there for weddings. Portraits, again, any lens can be used as a portrait lens. You can have, actually, you don't even need a lens. I was in a art gallery. It wasn't an art gallery, it was a photography thingamabob studio. It was a university, no, not university, it was a university student thingamabob where they were showing their end of year work kind of stuff. And one of the guys that got the top mark in there, he had done some really, really interesting portraits. And when we went along, where everyone was looking at his pictures, oh, what lens was that done with? Oh, was that a wide angle? What angle? Oh, I must have been at about an f11, and he's obviously done a slow shutter because the background's blurry, blah, blah, blah. He hadn't done it on a digital SLR, he'd done it with an iPhone. And if you go to F-Stoppers, which is another kind of photography page on YouTube, if you go to them, they've done a whole like beauty headshot, portrait shot with an iPhone as well. All it takes is the right type of lighting. So again, portraits, that's a difficult one to explain. Night events. Night events. That's your next one. Night events. What are night events? Are you talking about club photography? Are you talking about fireworks? Are you talking about people having sex in their cars? I don't really know what you're asking for on that one there. So pretty much any lens that you want, but if you want really good quality lenses, then you're going to have to spend a lot of money on it. I'll try and put something on the website for maybe the budget version and then the professional, or the no budget version. Okay, your second question was, what are some good portable lighting kits that you would recommend? Nikon speedlights, done. Third question, what are some good ring flashes that you'd recommend? If you want to get an actual ring flash, that's still going to cost you around about £1,000, and you're going to need to plug that in somewhere or have a giant portable power source for that. So I would say don't get an actual ring flash because they're pretty cumbersome, pretty huge, and just get one of the ring light adapters. So it's effectively, it's a ring and you stick it on top of your speedlights, which will be your answer in part 2 as well. So you can have the effect of a ring light, but for a fifth of the price. Instead of £1,000, it's £200. Easy peasy. So yeah, if you're wanting to do all that kind of shooting, you need to spend a lot of money on a lot of good lenses if you want to have very, very sharp and good photos. Otherwise, you can do it with any lens that you've got, and there's no such thing really as a portrait lens anymore. You can do portraits with wide angles, you can do it with telephotos, you can do it with what was considered portrait lenses, which was anywhere between 50 to 120. Beyond 120 it was considered a wee bit too telephoto, and below 50 it is considered too wide angle. But if you're using a crop sensor, 50 comes up to 75, and if you're doing 80, that's around about 105mm. So that's all the kind of length there that you need. But really there's no hard and fast rules. What I would say is just get the best lenses that you can afford at any time that you need. If you can't afford them, and you've got a massive event where you need to use them, then rent them out. And just Calumet is where I rent a lot of my stuff from. They're very good, but obviously if you're renting a £1,500 lens, you have to pay £1,500. Whenever you deliver the lens back, you then get £1,400 back. So it's cost you £100 for the weekend or something like that. So yeah, don't think that you can rent 5 grand of stuff and not have 5 grand of stuff in your bank account already. Hope that helps. Soldier Mills, and if anybody has got any other tips for Soldier Mills, please put that down below. Thanks a lot, bye bye.